welcome to this session on Introduction to Procurement Procedures. By the end of this session, you should be able to demonstrate your understanding of procurement procedures, then outline 5 reasons for instituting effective procurement procedures, and briefly describe the diversity of procurement procedures, and finally describe the relationship between specifications and procurement procedures. When we talk of procurement procedures, they are basically clearly laid down processes or steps that a procuring entity follows in executing or carrying out the procurement proceedings. And it should be noted that these steps or these approaches that have been outlined by a given organization or a given country should create fair opportunities for all providers or suppliers. And these providers or these procurement procedures should be designed in a way which helps to achieve good value for money and minimize the risk of corruption and favoritism. So procurement procedures, organizations or countries should design procurement procedures with value for money in mind, because procurement is usually undertaken with funds that do not belong to the procurement professional. So if you take the public sector, procurement activities are done with public funds. And if you take a typical organization too, procurement activities are done with the organization's funds, and the funds do not belong to the procurement professional who is undertaking the procurement activity. So any procedure that is stipulated for the country or for the organization should ensure that that money that is being spent on procurement activities is yielding value for the organization or for the country as a whole. And because of the likelihood of conflict of interest, or because of the likelihood for the procurement professional to fulfill their self-interest over that of the organization of the country, procurement procedures should ensure fairness, transparency, access to equal treatment or equal opportunities by suppliers, and as much as possible reduce the risk of corruption and favoritism in procurement proceedings. So procurement procedures should be effective in every organization to achieve value for money and reduce risk of corruption and favoritism. This is because procurement controls about 70% of the organization's expenditure, in the sense that every acquisition of the organization is done on behalf of the procurement function. And procurement does these acquisitions with the funds of the organization or the resources or the financial resources of the organization. Hence, effective procurement procedures are necessary to ensure that these procurement activities are undertaken effectively and efficiently without room for waste and then fraudulent activities. Effective procurement ensures good accountability. So the procedures helps to ensure that people who spend the procurement funds or the funds of the organization are able to provide the justification as well as the grounds for using those funds. And it should be noted that procurement procedures are an effective way of reducing incidences of corruption, especially in the public sector. So if you take Ghana, for instance, our procurement procedures are laid down in the Public Procurement Act 663 as amended, and it ensures that all procurement practitioners in the public sector undertake procurement within these laws. And then the PPA, who is the sole regulator of procurement in the country, formulate manuals that are to guide procurement entities or public procurement entities in carrying out their procurement activities. Then procurement procedures also ensures that the procuring entity achieves best value for money, as well as promotes effective competition and boosts the confidence of suppliers. So for public procurement systems, one key thing that we have to note is that each country has their own peculiar procurement procedures that they establish. So you cannot apply the procurement procedures in Ghana to the procurement procedure that is being undertaken in Nigeria or in Europe, a country in Europe, because Ghana has our own unique cultural system. We have our own unique set of laws, and we have our own jurisdiction controls that are different from that of Nigeria and any other country. So in essence, you cannot analyze procurement systems generally, or you cannot analyze procurement systems in Ghana and apply the findings to that of Nigeria, because in the end we have different regimes and different laws regulating our procurement. So in considering the diversity of procurement procedures, you have to identify, you have to take notes of some of the reasons why there exists diversity or differences in procurement procedures. One of them is that there are different values in the systems which are reflected in the different weights that are given to various procurement objectives. So maybe in a given country, because of the corrupt nature of the country, they emphasize more on corruption. In another country, they emphasize more on achieving value for money. So if you appreciate this, you realize that there are differences in public procurement systems. And you should also know that there are different economic and social conditions in every country. There are also different levels of training and skills of procurement personnel in any given country. Hence, the differences in procurement systems in a given jurisdiction as compared to another. So, in formulating specification or in undertaking procurement, an organization would select a suitable method of procurement when they are able, or depending on their ability to formulate detailed specification. So if the organization is able to formulate detailed technical specification of the product, it means that ideally open tendering is the best method to use. But if the organization cannot feasibly and justifiably formulate technical specifications for the product, it means that the ideal method of procurement to use could be either single sourcing or two-stage tendering, because in the end, they will be able to formulate, and in fact, competitive negotiation is also an ideal method of procurement, given based on the jurisdiction that is being considered. Because with any of the latter methods of procurement, it involves negotiations or dialogues with suppliers as to formulation of a final technical specification against which financial specifications are invited and assessed to select the best supplier for a given procurement. So you have learned about procurement procedures, reasons for instituting effective procurement procedures, the diversity of procurement procedures, as well as the relationship between specification and procurement procedures. Thank you.